So if type has personality, it's the family that that particular typeface lives in that gives it its personality. And now that you know a little about type anatomy, let's take a look at the broad families of type that we work with when we design and see what it is about those particular families that infuse so much personality in a specific typeface. Old style, modern, slab serif, sans serif, script, and decorative. Let's start with old style. Old style is a traditional typeface. It goes way back. If you pick up a school book, a textbook from the early 1900s, it will be set most likely in an old style typeface. Some of the characteristics that we can look for in determining if a typeface is considered old style are diagonal stress on the letter form, slanted stress on the serifs, and this is a serif typeface, a subtle thick-thin contrast. Some of the typefaces that live within the old style family are Heffler, Times, Palatino, Georgia, Baskerville, Garamond. Beautiful typefaces. If you're looking for warmth, if you're looking for a feel of tradition, an old style typeface is the perfect choice. Beautiful typeface. Next, we have what we call the modern typeface. The modern typeface is, as it says, it's a fairly modern design. It doesn't go back more than about 100 years. The typefaces that we associate with modern typeface, or the typefaces that fall within this family, would be Bodoni, Onyx, and one in fact called Modern. If we look at a modern typeface, we see a vertical stress on the letter, and the serifs are flat, and there's an extreme thick and thin contrast. Modern typefaces are perfect for high fashion and for money and for things that feel luxurious and for showbiz. Perfect typeface for that application, and that's the modern typeface. Slab serif typefaces still have a serif. The serif is boxy, it's flat, the letters are vertically stressed, there's a minimal thick-thin contrast, and the two big players here are Rockwell and Lubalin. There are quite a few more, but these are the two that you'll recognize in use the most. And this particular typeface works really well for anything that feels mechanical and precise. It feels as if the typeface has been punched out of steel. It's perfect for that. The next family of typefaces are the more modern typefaces. They're the ones that we're mostly familiar with in the world around us, and these are the sans serif typefaces. Sans, of course, meaning no, so there's no serif in a sans serif typeface. There's a very subtle thick-thin contrast in the letter forms. They are vertically stressed. The typefaces we'll find in this family are most likely Helvetica, Arial, Geneva, Futura, Franklin, Gothic, on and on and on. This is a clean typeface. It's uncluttered, it's businesslike, and this is the typeface that you would see maybe when you go to an airport and you see signage. Ideal for doing very clean, modern design work. The other family of typefaces that you might have at your disposal on your computer are the script typefaces. And these approximate what we do, human handwriting, essentially. You'll notice I have a red bracket above my little line of copy here that says potentially very ugly, and it's very true. A lot of script typefaces are very awkward, very clumsy looking, not very attractive. Some are appropriate for certain uses, some are actually quite attractive. Edwardian script, I think, is lovely. Dakota is a nice looking script typeface. Brushed script is a great retro typeface. Here you can see we use it in a postcard greetings from Cocoa Beach. This typeface has a feel to it, a personality from the 50s, so it's perfect for a treatment that involves a bit of parody. But certainly you wouldn't want to use it for something like a resume or in some other instance like that. The decorative typefaces are the ones that are affected. They feel like they're saying something like chalk on a chalkboard, or they have curly cues. These, again, can be potentially very silly, but there are times when you may want to use them. 98% of the time, I'd steer clear of a decorative typeface. But if we were doing a flyer for school lunches for February, chalk duster in this case would probably be appropriate. So those are the broad families of type. As I said, most type falls into one of these categories, and now you know a little bit about your type families. Now it's a good time to introduce you to what I consider to be the most important rule involving type. And that is my best design practices number 4. In any one design project, limit yourself to 2 typefaces and make certain those 2 typefaces contrast obviously with one another. So this is a mouthful. This is quite a bit to remember, but it's a great typographic rule that will help your work look professional. It's one of those rules that you can choose to ignore it, but if you follow it, your work will always look good. So let's talk about that. Why do we limit ourselves to 2 typefaces in any project? That means any PowerPoint slide, annual report, web design, business card, letterhead, you name it. Why limit ourselves to 2? Because we don't want our work to look like a ransom note. There's a danger as we use more and more different typefaces in a design that it will start to look more and more chaotic. And we want typefaces to contrast strongly with one another. We don't want them to look similar because it looks mushy. It looks like you spent the morning working on a project, you took a short break, you came back, sat down again, and you picked the wrong typeface because it was close, but it wasn't the right typeface. Here we have 2 lines of copy, Blues at Sundown, every Friday at the Inn by the Lake. The top line is set in Gill Sans bold, the bottom line is set in Helvetica New. Those typefaces, even though one is very heavy and one is light, are too similar because they're both sans serif typefaces. There's not a clear contrast between those 2 families. I think this looks much better. Blues at Sundown now is set in Gill Sans bold, but every Friday at the Inn by the Lake, we've gone with Baskerville Italic, a serif typeface and a completely different style. It feels lighter, it's more elegant. These 2 together are actually a great marriage. This is a great combination of typefaces to get that crisp contrast that we're after. We can be assured that we're going to have good contrast in typefaces if we mix serif and sans serif, and this is a very standard design practice. You'll see this used everywhere. Here we have a page from Time magazine. We can see the subheads are set in a heavy sans serif, that's Arial bold, and the body copy is set in Times, which is a serif typeface. Those 2 together work really well together. I would recommend this for designing business cards, letterhead, web design, PowerPoint presentations, you name it. Mixing a serif and a sans serif, limiting yourself to 2 typefaces. The 2 typeface rule works beautifully.